Well, I have a crazy idea on that line, which is I've always wanted to build some sort of box.
Hey everyone, thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. I'm your Eric. I'm Eric, your host. I also have a YouTube channel called Garden Fork as well. Today, my friend Eric from Root Simple is here, and we're going to talk about Blockbuster libraries, which are much like those free book libraries, and how we like DVDs in general. So welcome, sir.
Hey, Eric, it's great to be back on the podcast.
I sent you an article. You wrote it on your website, Root Simple, I think about you're no longer streaming stuff, but you're watching DVDs. Is that correct?
Well, sort of. I mean, we do have HBO, and so we'll look at that occasionally, and I look at way too much YouTube. But yes, I got a DVD player last year. And yes, I have a few DVDs. I like watching opera actually, so I have some opera DVDs, and then I find them occasionally in our little library down the street. So, and of course the library has lots of DVDs too, because I've had trouble finding movies in terms of streaming. So between those sources, especially actually the library, I can kind of like find what I want to watch.
What I like here is that you talked about that, and then the New York Times wrote an article called Tired of Streaming? Free Blockbuster Libraries Offer an Alternative. It says here, the neighborhood lending libraries have popped up around North America offering a nostalgic return to DVDs. And I don't know if you all are familiar with these little boxes people put in neighborhoods called a free library. If you don't want some books, you put them in this little bookshelf thing and it has a door, and other people come by and take them. My neighbor has one, and people are looking at it every day. So now people have made the Blockbuster Library, which is actually obviously a trademark name, and I think Blockbuster wants people to not stop doing that. But it's a blue-colored box, and some people print out the decal and put it on there. And Eric, you were talking about making one.
Well, you actually sent me an article about it, and my Kelly and my wife and I have been talking for a long time about having something in our parkway. There's a really successful little library down the street from us that seems to get a lot of activity. And so I thought, well, I don't want to put in another book one because that kind of exists down the street. So why not try something different? And yeah, I think I'm going to give it a try. It's definitely on my to-do list of things to build. And there's a perfect kind of place for it right next to our garage, which is on the street at street level. We're kind of up on a hill. Garage is down on the street, and I think I'm going to put it right next to the garage. And probably mostly people walking their dogs. Like my wood shop is in the garage, and so
Yeah.
there's kind of like people come by and chat with me, and kind of a social space. And I thought this might be another nice addition to it.
And your garage is literally at the sidewalk.
It's literally on the sidewalk, and I have dog cookies for
Ah,
the dogs. So now, like, there's all these dogs that just run into the garage while I'm working, and I'll turn around and like, oh, there's a husky next to me. Uh, so like, it seemed like perfect to have this like DVD lending library thing. And also, like, I live in a neighborhood where a lot of people work in the industry, and so there's often like they get DVDs and stuff, and they get rid of them in the little library. So I thought, oh, if it's going to work, this might be the neighborhood where it would work.
that's perfect because I have a DVD player that also plays audio CDs, and it is a carousel. So you could load it up
Mm.
with 5 CDs for your cocktail party. And I stream a lot of music. I actually stream a lot from SoundCloud, which is they have a free service, and I don't know how it's structured now, but it started out as a grassroots thing, and independent artists upload their music there, and there's a lo-fi station that they have created like a hip hop lo-fi station, and I that's the perfect music for me to work to. So I play that, but then I'm always like, I don't want to play it while the camera operator is doing her Zoom calls because it's we don't have a huge data connection here. And then I thought I should just build a library, a physical library of music, or build it back up again so I'm not reliant on a streaming app or a platform or a Google server or something. So when I saw that article and I started talking to you, now I'm looking around at people throwing out stuff and are there any DVDs or CDs in the box, you know?
Yeah, the thing about I stream too. Um, but the thing in the back of my head is, well, this streaming service could disappear, and then
Yes.
whatever I have saved to it is gone. Balanced, of course, with like not wanting to have a lot of junk around the house. So, like, I did at some point get rid of all the CDs I used to have. Long
Yeah.
ago, I got rid of all the records I had just to save space. So
Yes.
there's a balance to strike here, which another reason to experiment with this little library because maybe there'll be some circulation. Maybe things will show up and watch it, can put it back in there, go back into circulation. So yeah, like and stuff disappears, movies disappear from streaming services too. So that's the other thing. It's nice to have a hard copy.
Right. I was there was a series I really liked, which was our series for the pandemic. It's called I won't say the words. Oh, sorry, my I forgot to turn this off. Um, it's called SCHITT Creek, and I wanted to watch it again on Netflix, and it wasn't there. And I looked online, and it had moved to another streaming service that I don't subscribe to. And I thought, well, if I had the DVDs, which you could probably buy on eBay for $10, I could watch it whenever I want and not have to sort through the search. Like Netflix's search function is horrible. So,
Yep, yep.
and then we have Apple Plus TV and we have Netflix and we have Amazon by accident because we use Amazon Prime for the shipping. But I find myself clicking through, and then we watch the same old stuff anyway. So I thought the idea of a DVD library or a group sharing thing be kind of a happy accident of, oh, I've never watched this movie, and oh, I found it in the library. We'll check that out, and you can return it as well and recirculate it rather it's sitting on your shelf.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is I'm trying, like, I find myself looking at the internet too much, looking like surfing or looking at browse screens on the streaming services rather than actually sitting down and watching a movie.
Yes.
And so this was like towards that effort of trying to reclaim some of my attention span and sitting down and watching an old hour and a half movie, basically.
Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of the new action movies. I would rather watch, I don't know if they make too many comedies anymore. you know,
Yeah.
I'm sounding like an old person here.
Well, just like I like a comedy too. I think it's the hardest movie to make, honestly. And there's not a lot of really good ones. There are a few, but they're hard to do and hard to find, that's for sure.
The one comedy that pops to mind is Weekend at Bernie's, which is a horrible movie, but
I haven't seen that one.
it was rather sophomoric comedy,
Uh,
but they could just crank them out back then. So the other part of that is I have a lot of music on a hard drive, and I'm thinking I should move them over to thumb drives or solid memory chips instead of something with a spinning metal disc that's going to fail at some point. You
well,
know?
I have a crazy idea on that line, which is I've always wanted to build some sort of box that has a hard drive in it that has all my MP3s on it.
Hmm.
That it's kind of like a digital jukebox.
Yep.
And there must be a way to do this. I've been like Googling this and trying to figure this out for a while, where I could just like hit a button and it would play something random from this collection of music.
I
Or
bet
alternate, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I thought there might be an Arduino or Raspberry Pi that would do that.
Yeah, there is, and I've gone down that road a little bit, and I need to just finally like commit to it and making a take a swing at it. I tried to set up my an old iMac as a server, but it kind of worked, but it was a little too kludgy, and yeah, I thought like some kind of like quaint digital jukebox is it's on the to-do list.
Well, you could take an old laptop. I mean, it wouldn't have the quaint box part, but just load all your music into the music app on Apple and just hit random. But it would take
True.
away from the charm.
That's true. Well, you still could. I don't know. There's a way to do it, right? Like I could get a like a little PC computer or something, and that's actually a good idea.
Now I'm thinking. Of course, I all my cars except the new electric car that I own, I've always replaced the stock radio with something a little better that you can plug your phone into and or plug thumb drives into. So I've got literally these 12-volt based car radios sitting on a shelf in my garage, and they all have a CD player in them, and some of them have a 5 CD player thing that you can. So you could put 5 CDs in there and mount that in a little wooden box with some speakers, and that would
Oh,
random.
oh, nice.
Ah,
Yeah, hooked up to a solar panel or something.
exactly. Here we
Wow,
go.
this is great. I love this idea.
This could be a garden fork video.
I have a 2011 Honda Fit with a CD player in it that still works.
Pull it
So
out.
there's that. Yeah, pull it out. Exactly.
You could probably buy them on eBay, or we could probably find them at a dollar store. You know?
Yeah, no kidding. I'm loving this. You could take it out. You have a new electric car, right? Eric,
Yeah.
I've been hearing you talk about it. You should take out the stock radio and that and put in an 8-track player.
Ah, I'm so scared to touch that car.
I bet. Yeah.
And so is the dealership, by the way,
Oh yeah.
because I'm going to probably talk about this in 6 months more at length. But I own an electric car made by a company that only makes one electric car and makes 7 other gas cars. And
Mm.
so the dealership near me, the service is quite poor. So I go out to Long Island, and they are good there, but there's only one technician that knows how to work on my car. And there must be 15 technicians there, you know. So I don't touch that car. I get it serviced, and I
Yeah.
don't want. I don't why. All I, if I can plug in a USB, I do that. But I'm just kind of. And the radio. Here we go. The radio. The entertainment system is built into the computer screen on the thing, which
Of course it
supposedly is
is.
Arduino based. Is what I read in the Volkswagen forums. So that's
What?
interesting.
What? Really? There's an
Yeah.
Arduino in there?
Yeah. Oh no,
Really?
it's Arduino. No, it's
For
Google.
Raspberry Pi? No.
I I'm screwing this up. It's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I've had one cup of tea, so. Oh no, it's Google. It's a Google-based software that runs the entertainment system.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
It's the same software that runs the Google phones, the Androids, and that. So, but
I'm getting
anyway,
it. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
now I'm thinking I want to find some old car radios now because I wonder if I think I still have one on the shelf. It was from my Dodge Caravan, my minivan that I loved. Huh.
Yeah.
And you can have that mounted. I mean, of course, I would just make a freaking plywood box and with a milk crate or something, but you would make it look like a piece of stickly furniture.
That's my, yeah. Like, if there were such a thing in 1900, what would it look like? That's kind of the way my head works on this.
So like a steampunk car.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Oh,
What
now
I
I'm
should do is
thinking.
just have a whole dashboard from a car in the house and just, have the
That would go
radio in
over
there.
really well. All right, everyone. Do you have a car stereo sitting in your garage that you're going to convert now? So it could be solar powered with a battery, so you could charge. There could be a charge controller, so it could charge up the battery during the day so you could still play your music at night. And if we had some sort of a disruption of our power service and our internet service, we could still play music without electricity or without the internet.
There you go.
Wow, sweet.
Competition. Prize. Offer a Garden Fork prize for this.
So I want to follow up in a month or two to see if you've built your Blockbuster video box. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, some accountability. I like this.
I need that's what I need all the time. That's why Nicole's on the podcast. She's like, "So what are you doing with that?" I'm like, "Oh." Guess what I'm going to ask you about? Did you sign up for my newsletter yet? You didn't? There's still time. Well, there's time whenever you have time, actually. Go to the gardenfork.tv site. There's a sign up floating around on every page, or there's a link in the notes to this episode of Garden Fork Radio. It's kind of fun. I like writing the newsletter. It shows up. People seem to like it. People reply and go, "Oh, hi, Eric." And you could get the newsletter and then you could hit the reply button. You go, "Oh, hi, Eric." And maybe send me a picture of your dog or your garden or a project you're working on. Think about that. Email from Eric once a week, usually. Sign up below or at gardenfork.tv. So what I do like on your website is you just post stuff that you find interesting. And I want to do more of that with my newsletter and perhaps follow it up. Since my website is a hot mess, I just could post it on the website as well. But where do you find these interesting things that you post on your site?
Well, lately I've been really not liking social media, not liking being on it, not liking the fact that when I put stuff on social media, it's making money for some,
Yeah,
for Mark Zuckerberg or someone.
me too.
And I have a website, and I'm like, why don't I just use the website? Because the other thing is, like, those social media sites can go away too. But I
Yep.
have my own website. I can put whatever I want to on there. And lately I've been like, why don't I, instead of putting stuff on Instagram, which was a bad habit of mine, why don't I just put it on my website? If no one sees it, I don't care. But I'll put stuff there. I'll use social media to say, hey, I just put something on my website. Go to my website. That's how I've been kind of working with it. And like, I decided, yeah, why not just whatever I'm interested in, I'm going to put up there, and leave it at that, and not try to limit myself to just like, urban homestead stuff or whatever. Although that I'm still, that's still a focus, but to kind of broaden it to some other interests of mine, and that's kind of where I've taken the website in the past year or so.
I kind of like I really like actually the real estate listings you find that are like kind of pretty out of this world.
Yeah, yeah. There are
Houses
some
with
crazy
way too much
houses.
carpet,
Exactly.
the sunken living room, the conversation pit, and they're still there. They're still there in 2023. It still looks like the 1970s Brady Bunch living room,
Yeah, people send me those things. So, yeah.
So you don't even have to go look for them now. People just send them to you, or
People have friends send me crazy real estate stuff. Yes.
I like that. And I also like in your site you will post from. Is it the British Museum has a series of blogs?
Maybe Victoria and Albert Museum.
Yeah.
Maybe them. Yeah, I think it's them.
And they do these deep dives on, like one was the marginalia of illustrated manuscripts.
Yes. Yes. And when we took a trip to London, maybe 2 years ago now, and that museum, if you go there, is phenomenal, Victoria and Albert Museum, because it's a deep dive into crafts of all sorts and design, and you could spend days in there. And yeah, they have a really fantastic website and YouTube channel showing how things are made. So
Oh,
yeah,
I love
really,
this.
really, yeah, definitely worth checking out.
The what I particularly liked about the illustrated manuscript part is I don't know if they were monks or the scribes that were, they're basically handwriting a book and copying it from another book. And they have these goofy little illustrations and caricatures in the margins or the side of the paper and stuff. And some of them are a little risque, but it was just kind of fun to see. I always think of that era as kind of pretty doomy, but it showed they had a sense of humor.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that think that that era is doomy, and historians know that it was not. Like it's much different than people think it was. And we kind of have a view of the medieval period of as the quote dark ages unquote, which
Yeah.
it was not. Like, and it just on a superficial level, like buildings had lots of color in them, as do those manuscripts. And what we perceive of it is a kind of like post 18th century notion of it, not what it actually was. Not that it was all great, but
Yeah.
it definitely was not what it's perceived to be. And yeah, I follow actually a few historians who are trying to sort of like change the narrative on it and portray it more accurately.
The program, which is now on YouTube, used to be on British television, called Time Team, also does that in a way. They're often finding Roman ruins, and the Anglo-Saxon ruins aren't as easy to find because they made things out of wood. But there's in somebody's backyard or a parking lot of a shopping mall, and they're like, well, we've been brought in because they found a gravesite or they found some pottery, and before they build the parking lot, they have to go check it out. And it's amazing what they can put together from that back in the day.
Yeah, it's wild if you dig in a place like England, for instance, what you'll find under the parking lot, right? Like a dead king, for instance,
Yes, they
you
do.
know, right?
I
So,
was I discovered illustrated manuscripts from one of my best friends in college, Matt, who's still a friend of mine now. We're going to cut down a tree this weekend, actually. Um, but he had a copy of it was called the Book of Hours, hours like
mm,
hours in a day,
hmm.
and it's beautiful. And this is just a photographic copy. It wasn't with gold inlay or anything. And then I've seen some in museums, and they're stunning. I mean they're there to communicate an idea or a story, but to me they're works of art. I just was like, holy cow, someone made this by hand. So I was blown away.
Yeah, it's a whole like site. We could do a whole podcast on that, but I'm trying to improve my handwriting right now. This is a side project.
Oh,
And so that's part of my interest in illuminated manuscripts too. My handwriting is devolved, it's terrible.
yeah.
And I like to draw and stuff too. So it's a skill that's similar to drawing, and it's like I need to work on this and really kind of like take a crack at it. So that's one side interest. And like it is nice to hold a book that in itself is beautiful. One of my favorite thinkers is William Morris from the 19th century, and he was trying to revive the illuminated manuscript. And I have like a copy of one of his books that's done as an illuminated manuscript, and it's a really nice experience to read this book, and it makes you aware of the object itself, the physical object itself. Um, which I guess is a theme in this podcast. We started with DVDs, another
Yeah.
kind of physical object, and now books. But yeah, anyways.
Oh, sweet. Well, cool. So Eric and I are going to stick around. We're going to do an after show for the Garden Fork supporters, the Garden Fork patrons. If you're interested in becoming a patron, there's a link in the show notes here. You could also go to patreon.com/gardenfork. I tried to upload 2 behind the scenes videos of the new beehive we installed on the roof, everyone. And sometimes the app gets a little clunky. I like the idea of uploading videos right from my phone, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when I do that, if you're a patron, a supporter, and I ask for a cup of coffee a month, you get this video, and it's usually 2 minutes long. And I literally was like, hey, we're up on the roof. I'm here with Brian. We just put the bees in. Here's a little video of it. And, if you like that kind of thing, or you want pictures of the Labradors or Eric's brain dumps, you can check that out. But anyway, Eric is at rootsimple.com. Anywhere else besides your Blockbuster library, sir?
That's it. I'm rootsimple.com and the Blockbuster library. You got to hold me to that one. The next time we talk, it better be done.
Well, we'll follow up in a month, and then we could also see how your calligraphy practice is going.
Yeah, you definitely need to hold me to that, too.
All right, cool, everyone. Email me. Do you have some car radio players just sitting on a shelf in your garage? It's radio@Garden Fork TV. All right, go out, do cool stuff, and make it a great day. We'll see you. Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media, LLC in Brooklyn, New York. Our executive producer is Jimmy Goose. For more information about Jimmy and the custom hollow books he makes, visit hollowbooks.com. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.